What's up, everyone? This is James Patrick, Ableton Certified Trainer. I've got some beat making tips on this video, and I'm going to uncover how I added a really nice dynamic sounding snare drum to my drum groove in a really simple and effective workflow. Let's go ahead and back this play flag up a bit and bring it in. So you'll notice how the snare drum tone and timbre changes with each hit, sometimes alternating back and forth. It's crucial sounding. Look at that clip. Just a simple MIDI clip. Nothing crazy going on, but it's a different snare sound every hit. Now at a drop, I can use a harder snare maybe. I mean, how about a drum fill? I'll put a drum fill in here. Get lots of nice changes to that snare. A little snare fill on the end with some different sounds too, but how did I really pull that off? I'll show you. So if I hit Shift Tab to look at the device window on the track, I'll be able to see that I have a custom drum rack here with some samplers on the pads. Just drag a sampler onto the pad of an empty drum rack. You can start building your own kit. In this case, I'm going to look at the snare pad. Now, if I click on the snare chain and I see the snare sampler here, I can again open the zones tab up to see that I've got a pile of snare drums in my sampler. All different cool snare sounds that I found in my library. I drop them all into the zones tab. And then I can come on up here to these zones. These are the different key, velocity, or chain selector zones inside of the sampler. And for this workflow, I'm going to go to chain selector. The chain selector allows me to manually drag this blue line across this chain select ruler to decide which snare is happening when. Then I went ahead and mapped that to a macro of the drum rack, and I've got a macro now called snare selector, which, as you can imagine, I automate to choose different snare sounds. Let's go ahead and open this track up, a little shift option here, a little two-fingered slidey poo, and we'll look at that beat. We'll hit play, and now we're going to go over to the sampler and take a look. In fact, I'll bring it in with the drop. I kind of like that section. Shift Tab. You can see that thing moving around. I can right click on it and show the automation. There's my snare select. Let's move ahead and listen to how I use it in a drum fill or a drum break. A little tight snare on the end of that one. Let's go over here and try these out. A dry snare there. Oh, look at these snare fills. Let's try these out. So yeah, that's all just a matter of moving that chain selector around for fun on an automation lane. This one I have called snare selector, but it's all getting moved around, and sometimes just to taste, I'll just scribble it around. So yeah, that's a pretty sweet trick. Let's go ahead and build one from scratch just to make sure you got the workflow completely on lock. So this one's simple. I can do this just with a MIDI track again, and I can grab a sampler, and I can just go in my search field and go snare wave, and I'm going to have all just waveform snare drums. Otherwise, of course, drums, snares, and these are all individual snare hits. And here's where I'd maybe just, take some time to find the right sounds, or just shift click on a whole pile of them and drop them on in. I dropped 124 in, which is pretty cool. I can hit the zones tab and open that up and look at all these snare drums. It's pretty sweet, huh? So now I would just go to the chain selector, right click on the blue bar here, one of these zones, and I'd distribute the ranges equally. Now, as you can see, with 124 to 128, only a couple of them get 2. It's kind of fun. And now, of course, I would right click on this and either just automate it directly, or for fun, if I'm using like a push or something, it can make a lot of sense to hit Command G on the sampler here. So then when you go back up to the chain selector and you hit the chain select ruler, you can right click anywhere there and map that to a macro of the rack. Now you have a snare select macro that I can rename with Command R. And this, of course, is the target for automation. So like just for fun, let's make a little snare rush. Do one of these, and let's double time some of these like a real snare rush, eh? Let's keep going. Look at this craziness. With no chain selector, it's going to be pretty boring sounding. But of course, we can head right over to this and just control click and show automation or modulation. In this case, I think I'll just automate it. And now we can get into the scribble fest. I'll probably keep it on 16th notes for this section, and maybe hit Command 1 and make some 8th notes, but I'm going to keep moving around on this list for some different hits. And here I'm going to move to 64ths, and then even 128ths just for craziness. So yeah, we really went crazy there, but maybe 128th notes is a little over the top, but we can make it sound a little more tight though. Don't forget, all those voices were overlapping. Put it on 1, put it in trigger mode, and then pull that sustain down. Now this is again going to allow you to have a nice tight sound. This has been James Patrick. I'm your host. I'm an Ableton certified trainer, and I work at Slam Academy. Slam Academy is the best place to learn electronic music production anywhere in the world, but I'm happy these videos are being shared anywhere. So if you want to learn advanced, forward-thinking electronic music production stuff, hit me up, James Patrick. And yeah, enjoy yourself. Peace. The online classroom experience at Slam Academy is unparalleled. We love masterclass, YouTube tutorials, and everything in between, but Slam Academy is doing something entirely different. With partnerships in the latest interactive online technologies, the virtual classroom experience at Slam Academy is always immersive and engaging. In class, you will share full resolution line-level audio with your instructor in real time, so it feels like you're right there in the studio. There are no vague, poorly described ideas here. Only specialized lessons designed by Ableton certified trainers where you work directly with experts as they help you sculpt your tracks and create your own sound.
Slam Academy is an Ableton certified training center offering courses in sound design, mixing and mastering, and more. www.slamacademy.com